periodically. Okay, we're going to start off with prayer by our Social Services Home Economics Director, Ms. Darby Collins. Ms. Collins.
Yes, Ms. Latoya, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. Ms. Janelle, looking lovely there. Okay, let us pray. Father, we thank you for this a new day. We thank you, Lord God, that you have seen it fit to lend us back life and health. Lord, you have allowed us through this medium, Almighty God, to come together in this fashion. Father, we pray for your divine guidance and inspiration, and we ask, Father, that you will direct our thoughts today. We ask, Lord Jesus, that as we do this training today, Lord God, that your people, Lord God, will be inspired and that opportunities and ideas will be open to them. We ask, Almighty God, that you will bless the speaker and that, Lord, you will grant him, Lord Jesus, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, Almighty God, to reach out to these people. And that, Father God, their lives will be improved and their lives will be better off. We ask, Lord Jesus, that as they learn from this opportunity, Lord God, doors and windows will be open to them for them to export their products and that their lives will be improved as a result. Father, we thank you and we ask for your divine direction and guidance now as we leave this meeting in your care, we leave this training session in your hands, oh God, and we thank you for what the benefits that we will earn from it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Collins. We'll now invite Ms. Sherifa Leslie, who is the Senior Social Services Home Economic Officer responsible for St. Catherine and Clarendon.
Thank you, Miss Wright. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Sorry, I was bounced off not too long ago, but I'm back now. Thank God for that. I'm happy to be a part of this training this morning, and I would just like to welcome everyone on RADA's behalf, to welcome everyone as we continue our interagency collaboration and cooperating to bring knowledge to those whom we serve. I am just grateful to all those who are participating, and special welcome to our participants, our presenters from SBDC and Plant Quarantine Division. A special welcome also to Mrs. Collins. A special welcome to Mrs. Collins, also our Senior Director for our Social Services Home Economics Unit, and all the colleagues and all the processors and other community persons. A special welcome to everyone. These sets of trainings are timely because when we consider all that we're going through now with COVID, and persons have lost their jobs and persons are getting themselves into entrepreneurial ventures, we realize that the knowledge is very necessary and needed. And so we would like to thank those who have organized and put it together. And I would just like to wish for everyone abundance of learning as we go into our morning's training. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Leslie. Thank you very much for that wonderful welcome. We'll now be inviting Mr. O'Shane Hunter from the Small Business Development Center, and he'll be giving us a brief overview of the services that they offer.
Okay, morning everyone. Let me just share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not as yet.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me if you're seeing my screen now?
Yes, we are.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Morning again, everyone. I'd like to just say thank you for everyone that joined in this session. I am O'Shane Hunter, the Business Development Officer at RADA SBDC and the SBDC Counselor. I have a bachelor's in operations management from the University of the West Indies. And in this presentation, I will just be sharing a brief overview of the SBDC services and how it operates, how persons can be a part of the center. And we have a special focus on agribusiness and emphasis on agri-processors. So let me just get this up. Okay, so introduction to the SBDC. So the SBDC is available to provide assistance in helping persons to develop their business through confidential consultation and interactive workshop geared towards giving a better understanding of the business that you're operating. As I said before, our emphasis is on agribusiness related ventures and a special or an emphasis on agri-processing. So our mission of the SBDC is committed to promoting the development of the MSME sector in Jamaica, which is seen as the country's main engine of economic growth through an efficient, modern, and sustainable service, which will enhance the national economy and improve the quality of life of all families, giving quality consultation and effective training programs for our clientele. Our vision for the SBDC, for RADA's SBDC, will assist in achieving national economic growth and stability through MSME development. Our values: we believe in enhancing the development of entrepreneurship through using effective, efficient, and sustainable strategies to develop businesses, while giving technical support to agricultural-based enterprises. So our values: we strive on excellence, so we offer quality services, we build our brand loyalty, we retain clients, which are essential to the economic growth and sustainability of the MSME sector. We are committed to our clients, to the process of educating, training, and advising startup and already established businesses, and we definitely push for innovation. We're living in a time where the business environment is ever changing, so we definitely seek to inspire and create innovation in the clients that we work with. So these ways of innovation comes through new ways of thinking, new markets, new products, new production methods, new marketing methods, new organizational methods, and in business practices. And consistency. We are consistent in how we follow up with the clients that we work with, conducting assessments of strategy implementation and helping to ensure that the clients experience growth. So the SBDC's objective is to see economic impact. We are here to assist the clients to ensure that they move their business in a direction that they will experience some form of economic growth. So entrepreneurial spirit is characterized by innovation and risk-taking and is an essential component of the nation's ability to succeed in an ever-changing and more competitive global marketplace. And that goes back to innovation, because as I said, we are currently now in a climate of the pandemic. I mean, you have persons who would have started their business, but they would have to do some retooling or do some adjustments in order to meet the requirements and the supply of the current demand. If it was a case wherein you used to sell through a medium of you directly being in front of the client, now that we're in a pandemic, you have to look into something like a delivery service. So a part of what we do is to help to brainstorm with the clients what it is that they can set out to accomplish in the ever-changing global space that you're operating in. So the SBDC, we identify opportunities. The SBDC will help entrepreneurs to identify and capitalize on opportunities that are available to allow their business to grow. We do also seek capital. So access to capital, as the SVDC will help business to identify institutions that can provide loans, grant funding, equity capital, and or debt financing. So we do also seek out what are the best options for the clients in terms of if you're interested in getting a loan or you possibly want a grant, we will definitely look at what is the existing platform there for persons to access financing, because we know that financing is a part of the aspect that a lot of business need assistance with. And we also do workshops. So the SVDC workshops are interactive, which gives clients a better understanding around the business that they're operating. And we conduct different types of workshops. It will vary dependent on the needs of the clients. So we definitely create programs so that it can benefit, like for example, the agro-processors or the farmers. So we ensure that we put together programs so that those persons can benefit. Before consultation, we have a few things that we would have to go through for the persons that are interested in being a part of the SBDC. So the requirements for startup business, persons thinking to kickstart their business, it is mandatory that clients attend the required business startup workshop to understand the intricacies involved in starting the business that they're entering. So in order for business persons to say that they want to get into this business idea, they are interested in starting a business, the SVDC provide how to start a business workshop, which is basically going through the different components and the must-knows before entering into the business that you're planning on going into. So we host that every year. We have at least a training session for that. So we definitely would need persons to go through that program, that training session first in order to access one-on-one consultation. The entrepreneur should be capable of proceeding the program which SBDC has to offer. So consultations are free of cost. However, the workshops will attract a cost. And the costs are normally minimal, so it's not an arm and a leg. It's not something that it will break your pocket after you finish. And we give homework at that training program, and we would need you to complete it in order to go through the next step of working with the SBDC. And this would be for startups, for persons who have a business idea or interested in starting. I'm hearing some feedback. I'm not sure if the person could mute their mic. Okay, so the SVDC training. So we have kept how to start a business, as I mentioned before, how to develop a business plan, financial management, marketing in the 21st century, labeling requirements for pre-packaged foods. And we also collaborated with the Home Economics Unit on sanitation, hygiene, and food safety, which was the last training session that was held for last month, which is April.
I don't do anything on them.
So these are the flyers for those.
I'm coming.
Oh, me every time I can't find it now.
Could you please mute your mic? Thank you.
Okay, so I was saying that these are just flyers for the training sessions that we last held. And the center has a pool of clients that we would send out this information to. for upcoming training sessions and events that we host or be a part of. So if you are interested, at the end of the slide, we have a contact information that we can leave, and you can get in touch with the center so that we can add you to be a part of that contact list, so that any information, whether that be business related, upcoming training programs, you can get that information first, and when it's sent out by the medium that we use. Hold on. All right. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. So who we assist? So the SBDC workshops, as I said before, we assist business startups. Business startup workshops is geared towards helping persons kickstart their business, having a better understanding as to what they are getting themselves involved in. We also assist already established business. Established business workshops are geared towards improving the business that you are already operating. And then there's the gazelles. And by gazelles, we're speaking to the high growth establishments seeking to take their business to the next step for more advanced training. And this could be in exporting, it could be in ICT management, it could be in advanced marketing tools. So we have those programs. And the beauty about the SVDC is that we also have partners on board, which we can pass information to our clients from those partners, and they also have their own training sessions that they would specify to the clients that can benefit from that. So later on in my presentation, I have a list of all the partners, so I'll definitely get into that. So consultation, advising. Consultation will be one-on-one confidential sessions with counselors strategizing the way forward with the establishment. These sessions are done on the center or business side. So I am the counselor at this center, so I'm the one who you would be interacting with the most regarding whatever business that we have to discuss. And as stated before, it is confidential, so your information won't be shared with any other clients. So you should be okay to understand that your information is just with the center, and we work with you on your ID, and we don't share that with anyone else. So at the SBDC, we believe in innovation and risk-taking. The entrepreneurial spirit is characterized by innovation and risk-taking. This is an essential component of a nation's ability to succeed in an ever-changing and more competitive global market space. Innovation, a new way of doing things, continuous improvement, making changes, risk-taking, the act or fact of doing something that involves danger or risk in order to achieve a goal. Now, by risk-taking can be defined as the act or fact of doing something that involves danger or risk in order to achieve a goal. And I'm hearing a lot of feedback. If you could mute your mic, that would be great, because I'm trying to get through it, but the feedback, okay, great. So being innovative and a calculated risk taker works hand in hand, and this may result in bringing greater opportunities. So risk taking in the sense that you are taking a calculated risk. It doesn't mean that you just shut your eye and go into the business and say, you know, I feel like I should do this, or I feel like I should do that. So it's basically taking a calculated risk to make a proper assessment. And by proper assessment, you use data and research to prove that, okay, if I should make this decision, then based on my research, it should make more sense. And you seek experience and you seek assistance from the center to help you along the way with those aspects. For example, to conduct a market research, or doing a business plan preparation, the center can help you with that. So these are success stories of business increasing sales, tapping into new markets, exporting, moving to a large scale, serving a larger pool of clientele. Okay, so these are our partners currently. So our partners include Enamanli College of the Visual Performing Arts, College of Agriculture, Science and Education, CASE, UTech, University of the Technology Innovation Center, Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, Northern Caribbean University, NCU, Morrison's Entrepreneurship Center, Caribbean Maritime University, CMU, and University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, UCC. So as you can see, we are operating in a partnership of about 8 and a growing existing partnership between the different bodies and the different organizations. So we have a network of persons working with. It's not just RADA, SBDC standing as one. So if you need assistance in a specific area, we as a unit together can definitely assist the client to grow and experience economic growth. So these are partners, and we are working together for about a year for some and 2 years for others. So we are an existing body and we're still building. We have a lot more persons to come on board. So these are partners, and you can benefit from being a part of the SBDC by interacting with all of these persons, all of these organizations listed. So these are now pictures of the SBDC from the inception. So this would have been before Corona at Dembi, the Orange Economy and a training session. Dembi doing some field work in community, and this was, I think, through SDC. We would have interacted with SDC to interact with the LIE, if I'm not mistaken, which is their groups in different communities. Training programs, again, interacting in the field, and a part of one of our network meetings. This is Mr. Marlon McGregor. He is the director of the Small Business Development Center. And those pictures are some of when we were at Dembi at meetings, and we would have been interacting with clients throughout this process. Now, success stories. And I touch on success stories because I want to show and give examples of the work that the SBDC has done. So this is Miss Elaine Stevenson. She's the co-owner of MVP Foods. With the assistance of the SBDC, she has moved her idea from ideation to an actual product. When she came to the SBDC, her labels weren't finished as yet. She wouldn't have started the process of actually bottling the jerk seasoning and reaching to commercialize it. So with the help of the SBDC, we have helped her to even register the business and take her from ideation to now she's commercially producing, and she's on in some supermarkets locally. So you can definitely look out for her. Her contact information is on this, and I can also leave it if any person a part of this session would be interested in buying MVP jerk seasoning. And this is Mr. Mario White, owner of Eden's Lab. With the help of the SBDC, he started opening a vegan shop, which is located in Negril. And these are just some of the products that he have now at the shop, and we have some workings to get done. Reproduct development, so we are still working on that. But these are just a few success stories that have came out of the SBDC. And so to wrap up, let's start the journey of the SBDC Small Business Development Center. And this is just some contact information, should anyone want it. And the landline is 876-971-4417. My CUG is 876-843-0296. And my email address is oshane.hunter@rada.gov.jm. So that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Okay, so now we'll be moving on to the other part of our presentation. And we just want to ensure that persons have their pens and papers and they're taking notes on what will be presented, because we know that a lot of persons here have questions that they need to ask the planned quarantine unit. And we'll be inviting Ms. Janelle Wilson, Social Services Home Economic Officer for St. Elizabeth, to come and do the introduction of our two speakers for today and our main presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Hope that you're hearing me.
Yes, we're hearing you.
All right. So for today, we have Mr. Dalton Hastings, Mr. Hastings. He's an experienced agriculturalist and administrator with over 25 years of experience, with a proven track record of risk assessment, risk mitigation, compliance with phytosanitary requirements, and export procedures. Currently, he's the manager of Plant Quarantine Produce Inspection Branch of the Ministry of Agriculture, Western Region. His key responsibilities are collaborating with relevant agencies and stakeholders to enhance safe trade facilitation and phytosanitary issues management for the branch. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in Management Studies and an Associate of Science degree in General Agriculture. His areas of expertise are plant health system management, plant quarantine regulation, good agricultural practices, good manufacturing practices for fresh agricultural produce, produce inspection and certification, produce handling and storage, fresh produce packing facility certification, food safety in agricultural produce. He also has represented the country at various regional and international plant health forums. He's current chairman of Jamaica's International Year of Plant Health Planning Committee. He is married with 2 children, a boy and a girl. I now introduce you, Mr. Hastings. So you can come in now, Mr. Hastings.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful. Yeah, just want to say thank you very much, madam, for that introduction. I was wondering if I'm really the person you're talking about. But anyway, it seemed to be me. All right, I just want to say, could you allow me to share, please? I'm not getting the opportunity to share. Allow me to share screen.
Give us a minute. Mr. Hunter, have you stopped sharing?
Yes, I have. I'm not sharing. Are you still seeing my screen? I'm not sharing anymore. I think you'd have to make him, Sir Mr. Hastings, our co-host. Mr. Hastings, can you try sharing again and see if it works?
I'll try now. All right, seeing that we got it now. You seeing it?
Yes, we're seeing it now. You can go ahead.
All right, wonderful. All right. Yeah, that's one of the challenges of technology sometimes. Nothing beats a face-to-face. However, we all have to get used to this era of pandemic. Right, and let me just say thank you very much, RADA. I think this training is a timed one, in that in the midst of challenge, sometimes you'll find people make opportunity of it. And I mean, with the advent of the current pandemic, we are seeing an increase in the number of non-commercial shipment in terms of herbs and spices going through the port. So that tells us that at least this is a very good opportunity for us to really brief the public on what is happening as we speak. So actually we can facilitate a safe trade of agricultural commodity going through our port, all right? So, so the objective of today's presentation is to provide stakeholders with an overview of the role and function of plant quarantine produce inspection branch in a bid to facilitate the safe trade of agricultural commodity. And note I said safe, because though we want to facilitate trade, we have to ensure that it is safe in terms of protecting the country. Provide the guideline and the general export procedure for fresh agricultural commodities and regulated articles. You know, I said fresh agricultural items and regulated articles, because though it sometimes might be the plant or plant product itself, but regulated articles are articles that can have the risk of carrying pests. So that means that we still would have to do inspection of it. So that is why you would say regulated article apart from plant and plant product. Right, so so those are the two objectives that we want to achieve at the end of today's presentation. So let's start with quarantine, because we're talking about plant quarantine. You might ask, a lot of people might ask when you talk on the road, what is quarantine? So quarantine is to impose isolation on an item, object, person, or person that is exposed to a disease. So I would have bold items and object, because that is the focus of today's presentation, right? So it's like once you are exposed to a disease or what we'll do, we'll have to go in some form of isolation. For example, in 2016, we had an outbreak of the falciparum rat in the country. It had been identified. It would not have been in the Caribbean at all, and it was identified in Jamaica, because if someone might be smuggling something into the country without going through the regular quarantine process. That in itself would have cost us today some 300 million to try to control the disease. Note I said control, because I would not be able to eradicate it at this stage since it is not established. And this is 300 million of crucial money that we could have used to fix Copper Road. So whatever we do, we have to be cognizant of our responsibility in protecting the country and ensure that whatever we do, we follow the procedure as we are going to outline in today's presentation. All right. The mandate of plant quarantine: ensure that harmful pests do not enter and become established in Jamaica. We say enter and establish because try as you may, you will have some form of smuggling, you will have some form of entry. So it's just for us now to ensure that it does not become established. So once we identify it, we'll actually quarantine the area and we try to eradicate the disease before it becomes established. Because once it becomes established, it's a different ballgame in terms of controlling. Right? So that is the first and foremost mandate of plant quarantine. You first have to protect your border before you can think of even exporting. Right? Second mandate is to ensure that only the highest quality pest-free produce is exported from or imported into the country. So after you protect your border and you have been producing, then at least now you'll be producing surplus for you to export. Because if you don't protect the industries, the agricultural sector, your production is not going to be half the magnitude where you can go to export. All right, so just be guided by those two mandates. Whatever we do, we have to abide within the law of the country and international regulation also. So the plant quarantine officers operate, the U branch operate under the Plant Quarantine Act of 1993 and its various regulations, such as the Plant Import Control Regulation of 2005 and the Food Packaging Material. Also, the Agricultural Produce Act of 1926. Yes, 1926, I know you might say that's kind of old, but as it is now, that is what is on the book. We are currently working on updating and revising both the Plant Quarantine Act and the Produce Act in terms of to bring it to where we want. But as it is now, this is a law that we have to operate on. Just to tell you that not all the officers are gazetted officers, so which means that it's not something you can get up to and say, okay, I want to be a plant quarantine officer. Once you join the service, you'd have to be gazetted before you can go out and plant quarantine work.
Question.
Right. Hello?
So the person with the question, could you please write it down? We'll be having a section for that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. All right, so international framework, World Trade Organization agreement. So all that we do would fall within the World Trade Organization in terms of our ISPM, which is International Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures. Those are the guidelines that all countries would have to abide by. And once you are signatory to WTO, you'd have to abide by these regulations. What it means that it's reciprocal. So if Jamaica does something, countries that are sending to us would have to do the same. So we can't be saying that we're going to impose a certain regulation and it is just for your country alone. You have to have an open trade when you're a part of these organizations. We operate under the International Plant Protection Convention. So that's a Bible for plant quarantine. Plant quarantine is the national plant protection organization of the country. So we are the competent authority to deal with trade of plant and plant product within the country. So anything you do in terms of export, import for plant product, you have to contact plant quarantine once it's in its natural state. Structure of plant quarantine. With the department the branch consists of a head office in Kingston, that's where the chief plant quarantine officer is situated, along with other senior officers, and that is on Old Hope Road. We have 2 export complexes that are strategically placed. As a matter of fact, Jamaica is the only country I can think of that have 2 export complexes and the port itself. So one is situated at NMIA, National International Airport, and the other would be at Sanchez International Airport. So what we offer here is all inspection and certification of agricultural products is done at the port. And as I said, strategically, once it's exported, it is just right at the plane side, close to in terms of the transportation, risk of transportation, all of those things would have been minimized. So that is where we will look. We have an outstation in Oterios, which would offer some level of inspection, not all, but some level of inspection will be done. So people with herbs and spice, if you're in that region, you can make contact with that office and you get the inspection. We try to, as best as possible, to have offices strategically located throughout the country. There's also an outstation in Port Antonio. So then again, people in that region can contact that office. So you don't have to drive, come to Mobile, you don't have to drive to Kingston if you're closer. So you choose the location that is closest to you for you to do your inspection. All right, so those were some of the housekeeping in terms of plant quarantine. So now we want to move into what you are really here for in terms of general export guideline as it relates to herbs and spices. However, we will be doing some general guidelines. So it means that when you leave here today, you might, as I said, in all challenges come the opportunity. So you might decide tomorrow that I'm doing herb today, but tomorrow I want to add something to it. So we're going to provide you with the general guideline as we move on. And that will actually suit your situation. All right, so let's move on, start with commercial consignment. So agricultural commodities are regulated article in excess of 20 pounds, regardless of the number of packages, are considered as commercial shipment. So if you have 30 package and it weighs 21 pounds, that's gonna go into commercial. If you have 10 package and it weighs 22 pounds, same thing. And if you have 100 package and it's under 20 pounds, then that would mean that it's non-commercial shipment. So just make note of that for me. And in terms of commercial consignment, if you present it on a monthly basis or more frequently, then it's going to go into a commercial. So you can't get up every day and want to send 20 pounds. We have to look at it the way that is concerned. Now you might be moving into a situation where you have to get certified and now become a commercial exporter. Because the risk of you sending it now is going to be increasing. And all commercial shipment must be processed at a certified facility registered by a plant quarantine. So just bear in and just take note of what you need to do if you're a commercial exporter. Export requirement. So to become an commercial exporter, these are some of the things that you'll have to do. One, you will have to be registered with plant quarantine before you can think of that. Two, you must operate from a facility, as I said, certified by plant quarantine, and you must obtain registration from JAMPRO. So take note of those three things that you have to do if you want to be a commercial exporter. Getting started. Just show you what you need to do if you once you are in the business or you're thinking of going into the business. This is what you need to do to get started. So first, you need to obtain a packing house requirement from plant quarantine. So you call the office and you get a requirement. You build or you retrofit your facility to meet those requirements. And having done that, you make an appointment for inspection, providing the following information: name and address of the company, the location of the facility, and information for the contact person. And you pay a fee for that inspection. So those things you must do once you're ready to get started. All right? Having done that, having obtained the requirements, then we'll go through it. I want to share with you now just some of the requirements that you would have to satisfy when you do that. This will be brief, so you still have to obtain the requirement. I'm just trying to give you a brief summary of what is required whilst you are here. So a building must be separate from dwelling house and activities that can be considered incompatible with handling of fresh produce. What do I mean by that? You can't just use a room in your house and say that is your packing facility. Don't work. You cannot use a garage. And you can't be doing a packing facility and right beside you, you have a garage that is going to be doing spraying and all. The mist is going to be over there. You cannot be doing things that you have livestock right beside you, certain type of livestock. So all of those are going to lead to contamination and cross-contamination of your produce. So that is why we have to ensure that it is separate from your dwelling. And it's a food safety requirement. My colleague will speak more to that in her presentation. So the floor must be concrete to facilitate washing after packaging. Floor space must be a minimum of 1,000 square feet. The reason for that is that we want to ensure that you have a proper operational flow and that you have your sanitary convenience there, you have your operation air and all of that. So this is the minimum square feet that is required for you to obtain a packing house. All right, building must be protected against entry of insects, birds, rodents, or anything that's likely to contaminate the produce. So that's what I mean to look for. You must have insect-proof mesh, meaning that when you close your door and your window is open, you must have that it prevent it from entry of pests. Building should have adequate lighting, because if you don't have proper lighting, what you'll have, you're going to have a pest problem. Because try as you may, you might have pests coming into your facility from the field. And if you do, and so a lot of people are not going to be able to pack in the day alone, because export is time sensitive. So you might have to reach a flight early in the morning, you're not going to be able to do it in it. So you will be doing packaging in the night. So that is why you must have adequate lighting, adequate drainage, adequate ventilation. So rules of thumb, if you're doing a packing facility, 1/3 of your opening must be, 1/3 of your building must be open. So I mean that your door, your windows, or any other opening must account for 1/3 of the volume. We are a third world country. You're not going to be packing under AC and enclosed and all those things. So we have to ensure that when the produce gets in there, at least it is at a temperature that actually won't have a great impact and the quality of the produce itself. Proper sanitary facility must be there. When you want to go, you must go. And if you want to say that, listen, man, you use your neighbor. Who's going to guarantee that when you're ready, your neighbor is going to have access? So we have to ensure that you have the proper sanitary convenience at your facility. Again, that's a food safety requirement. That is, and when we do inspection from plant quarantine, we also look, but our mandate is to ensure compliance with food safety requirement. Are you hearing me, everybody? Loud and clear?
Yes. Loud and clear.
All right, just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself. All right. All right, let me ask a question since I'm at it. What are the three main things that we say if you want to go into commercial export that you must have? Three things that we spoke of?
Packing house.
Obtain a packing house.
That's one. Madam Host, can you help me, please?
Yes.
You have to be registered.
Obtain registration from JAMPRO.
Right.
So the 3B registered with a plant quarantine, operate from a facility certified by plant quarantine, and obtain registration from JAMPRO.
Wow, I have some bright people here today, man. At least for that. Thank you very much. If it was not virtual, then you'll get a gift.
Oh, wow.
I'll send it to you virtually. Madam Rose, you can't take the information. I'll send it to them virtually.
Yes. I appreciate that. I'll ensure that I deliver it virtually.
All right, wonderful. All right, so let's move on now. We are now. So use of certified facility. This is something that we are cognizant of the fact that not everybody might be in a financial position to build a facility. Also, you might just mean that I don't want to just build a place for myself. I might not even have the lands or anything. So we allow somebody to use another person's facility, but it must be certified, right? So you can use a certified facility from someone where you either pack there or you allow them to pack it for you. So you can go there, pack it yourself, or you can allow them to pack it for you. But something that's an agreement.
RADA can have a mobile one that go all across Jamaica to help people.
Well, that's food for thought. But RADA can have one where they can share with their group, and then we will look into it. That's how it is. So they can have a certified facility and they share it to their group. So that is something that is facilitated. That can be facilitated. All right. I know the group will love that one. But just remember that as government, we are here to facilitate the trade, not to hold your hand and so. But we'll try where that is concerned. Right?
Yeah, man. Because some people way up in the mountain, them can't go nowhere because them live off the rural part. So if you could go up there with a truck that could facilitate all these stuff for them packing and processing, that would help very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So the three things that must happen: you must have a letter from the facilitator, that you're packing from, stating the type of product packed there, the quantity of product packed, and the date pack. Why this is so important? Because you'll have some people give some open-ended letter. They give somebody a letter, and for the next 6 months they don't see them again, and they get them packed every week. We can't facilitate. So you must say what is packed, and it must be dated. Please. It's not something that we have had situations where it has been abused. When we call the person to say, listen, man, Tom Jones turn up with 100 bucks of pepper or 50 bucks of herb. When last I see him? So, well, you know, it's about from last year, them time I not see him. Then you see what happened there. So please ensure that if you're afforded that opportunity, you abide by the rule, because when you're caught, then you're going to end up with a suspension, or actually, I will just cancel your export license. So don't get into that route. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Next step. So if your packing house is approved, then plant quarantine will issue a letter that you take to JAMPRO to effect the registration process. All right. And once JAMPRO would have registered you, they would have given you a letter that in terms of authorizing.
That means you have to change your socks.
Please mute your mic, please. All right, so please, so as I said, once the packing house is approved, then we will issue a letter to JAMPRO, who would then proceed with the registration letter. You'll take that with you whenever you are coming to the complex to export. preparing for export. So all produced, as I said to you, must be packed in and prepared in an approved facility. So there you see the guys there hard at work in their apron and their gloves. All of those things are required depending on what you're packing. You're doing herbs, so you won't be, when we do a packing facility for you, we won't be getting into those things with you in terms of washing and all those things. You'll be exempted from that. So all produce must be appropriately packed in new, clean, and properly labeled bags. So you can buy some feed, get some used feed bag and then put anything in it. No, you're gonna have the risk of cross-contamination, recontamination. Again, my colleague will speak to that. And the labeling and the package must coincide with what is in it. So if you have a particular herb in it, you can't have herbs in it and then the container is saying potato. Can you just get some potato and bags and put it in? No, it must be clean and the labeling must, it's an international requirement. The labeling must coincide with what is in the package. Exporting process. So you must make an appointment for inspection, 24 to 72 hours. Reason for that, the minimum is 24, but don't stick to the minimum. Meaning that if you might call tomorrow for an inspection and yet the office is full, the amount of scheduled appointment, you'd not be able to facilitate you. You might miss your flight. So you must make an appointment, give advance notice. Also, depending on what you're shipping, it might be a commodity that must be treated. Phytosanitary treatment must be applied. Some of the treatment might take up to a day. So you must make appointment before. And all of those will have been explained to you. All right, so then you present the commodity for inspection, whether it's air or sea shipment. Remember, if an air shipment, that is done at the airport at one of our export complex for commercial shipment. However, if you're doing herbs and those things, then you'll take it to here and then we'll do and send it to the courier service for you. Then you will make your arrangement. If it is a sea shipment, it can be done either at your facility, at the airport, or an approved location for a plant quarantine. So even though you might think in small, just remember that if you want to do sea shipment, you can do it at your facility. Inspection can be done there. But all air shipment must be done at the export complex, either in Kingston or Montego Bay, or at the outstation. So documents required for export, you must have your commercial export invoice, you must have your letter from JAMPRO, valid ID, and in some case, if you are doing certain commodities, you must get a letter from the commodity board. JACRA is now the regulator for commodities. So if you're doing, say, pimento above 11 pounds, you must get approval from JACRA. Coffee, cocoa, all of those things. So cocoa, coffee, pimento, ginger, turmeric, all those things. If you're doing over 11 pounds, you must get a letter from JACRA. Please remember that. So don't turn up with 15 pounds and then you say you didn't know. All right. So those are some of the documents that you'll be required to do. All right, let me change the slide so you don't look on the slide. So tell me three things that you would need three documents that would be needed for you for export.
Letter from JAMPRO.
Commercial invoice.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to myself. So tell me three documents that you would need.
Valid identification, a letter from JAMPRO, and a commercial invoice.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, the next question I want from a male. I'm hearing too much female voice. I want to hear the next question from a male in the audience. Tell me three commodities that you would have to present a letter from JACRA.
Pimento, ginger, and turmeric. I didn't stay Hastings.
Wonderful. So pimento, yeah, wonderful. So right, so you have to have those. So a letter from JACRA if you're doing over 11 pounds. All right. So having done all of that, then you're going to be coming to the airport for your inspection. So this is the inspection process. So you make note that you must pay for the service before it is offered. Government is not in a business of credit. So once you come to the complex, you must pay. So you must pay for the service before it is offered. And it is not It is not something that is, and it's not a heavy duty, because to be frank with you, the export process is subsidized. So it is just enough to substitute for the cost. So it's not full cost in terms of plant quarantine. Government still do some form of subsidy where that is concerned. All right, so you having paid for the goods, then the goods is inspected. It's inspected against in terms of goods verification to ensure that the goods are consistent of the product, that the goods consist of product that are indicated on the labeling of the package. Remember we said that? The inspector shall verify the plant species and if possible the variety. So if you are coming here, you must make a note of what you are shipping on it. You might not know the scientific name, but please ensure that at least the common name is there. The inspector will assist in terms of the scientific name, because remember, in Jamaica, you might say Guinea hen meat. When you go somewhere, it's not Guinea hen. The only thing that is standard throughout the world is a scientific name, right? So the officer will ensure that that is there. But if you know it, you can do. As a matter of fact, a system is coming in place where you will just do a drop down and you click on it. So we're gonna make the service more easy for you. However, it's at least your common name for now. All right. We also verify the quantities and the weight of the goods. Remember that weights and balance is important if you're talking about air shipment, where that is concerned. Phytosanitary treatment is also conducted, and that this is a certified market entry requirement for some country. For example, if we're going to the US, there's something that must be fumigated, your yam, your thyme, your pepper, that is for other produce. If you're doing herbs, if the bark is on it or it's wood itself, then you will have to fumigate it. That won't, then my colleague will speak to that more. But just to tell you that we conduct phytosanitary treatment also. And what we do, we use methyl bromide. In Kingston, you have a facility that do heat treatment also as a private facility. And just to let you know though that there are other, we spoke of regulated article. If you are doing wooden pallets, if you are doing even items that are processed that don't need plant quarantine inspection, and you're going to put it on a wooden pallet, that pallet must be treated. So you have to take the pallet to plant quarantine to get it treated. And that's an international requirement. If you are doing a wooden product, you have to get it treated. Right? So just take note of that, please. Inspection is done to verify the phytosanitary status of the commodities. Every country have a different requirement. So we as plant quarantine have to ensure when we inspect things, it satisfies the entry requirement going to another country. Quick tip here, if you're exporting to a country you never exported before, you can have your consignee check on the requirement for you, or you can check it yourself. It's an open world now, internet is open. So you can also check. We will assist, but the onus is not also, and you are doing a business. So wherever you go in, you can check what are the requirements before you come here. Please, and have your consignee assist with that, please. So all commodities are inspected irrespective of the commodity, and we do random samples. So if you come with 100 boxes, you might not do the 100. But if you come with 10 boxes, the 10 boxes is going to be inspected. It depends on the size of the commodity. That's how you do your sampling, please. All right. So inspect for a commodity in terms of permit condition. Remember, there are some countries that you have to get a permit. For example, if you're exporting to Cayman, you must get a permit before you go there. So, and then when we do our inspection, we satisfy those entry requirements, please. So ensure that the main thing here for us in terms of plant quarantine, I want you to take note of this. Consignment must be free of pests, soil, or any other non-conformity. So if we're inspecting pepper, it's pepper we want to see. If we're inspecting sea moss, we don't want to see the stone that comes out of the sea. We don't want to see the salt. We don't want to see the seaweed. It must be what is in the package, please. Ensure that the thing is properly clean. All right? And so there are times when we'll do a sample to take to the lab, depending on what is there. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Hastings.
All right. So this is the processing of the document. As I said to you, you come to the plant quarantine unit, you get your inspection done, you get your placking certified, all of those things. And upon inspection, then you'll proceed to Jamaica Customs, where you do your verification, documentation, and then you go happily onto the airline or the wharf. The beauty about this now that you have a ASICUDA system in place, which is the online platform for customs. And what you can do, you're processing from the comfort of your home of sipping on your favorite drink while you're doing all those documentation. So when you come to the airport, it's just an inspection process. And that is one of the beauty of the world today. You can work from the comfort of your home. So you no longer come to the airport to do all your documentation. When you come here, most of the work should already be done. You're only coming to do your inspection. So please contact customs where the ASICODA system is concerned. All right, so that was it for commercial shipments. Before I go on to non-commercial, Madam Chair, can you allow for three comments or questions before I move, with your permission?
All right. So for those persons who are burning questions, this is your time to ask the questions. So you can go
commercial
ahead.
Shipment. Please stick to commercial shipment.
Yes, for what was just presented. Minimum shipment of pimento is now 10 pounds and below. Somebody wrote that in the comment.
That's correct. Yes, 10 pounds. Yeah, 11 pounds and below.
Good afternoon, Mr. McAlvin here. Quick question. I'm the one that posed a question about pimento. So you're saying it's no longer 5 pounds, it's now 10 pounds and below.
Yeah, 11 pounds and below.
11 pounds.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a maximum of 11 pounds. You don't have to go to JACRA for a permission.
Thank you.
So it's some good news for you, Mr. McCullough. You have another 6 pounds. You can make some dollars off.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Any questions? Oh, there's one hand. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure whose hand is raised. Shelly V?
Yes, Shelly V. Good morning, everyone. I was a bit internet dropping, so I'm not sure if you're the person I should direct this. I don't know if it was part of your presentation. However, what I want to understand, I know you've been speaking a lot about export, but what if we want to import seeds? Where do we get that license? Is the license required? What's the process?
So I was not in my presentation. All right. So you have to get an import permit before you import any seeds. Seeds are high risk, so you have to get an import permit from plant quarantine before you go and import it. And the condition from which you import it will be on the permit. So the first step, you contact plant quarantine for a import permit before you even buy it. Don't buy it, and when it gets here, you ask for your permit. We are not going to issue the permit if it's here already. And when we issue the permit, if you have to be inspected and you have to have a certificate of analysis come with receipt. So if all of that is done after the permit is issued, even if it's in transit, it will be a non-compliant and it will be confiscated. So, and the permit is easy. You go on to JSWIFT website.
What website did you say?
Jamaica Single Window for Trade.
Okay.
I will share the information with the host.
So there's not a specific like storage or so on that is required. Like I know you mentioned the 1,000 square feet space for exporting.
Come on, no, there's no import.
Not. Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'll move on to, you can save the rest of questions and to the end. So let's move on to export guideline for non-commercial consignment. I see the hands, but just put your question in the chat and then I'll address them at the end of the presentation. Thank you. So in terms of non-commercial shipment, which I realize that a lot of the participants here would be a part of. So you do not require an approved packing facility for non-commercial export. So you don't have to have that 1,000 square feet or whatever it is. But remember, it must be clean, free from soil, free from pests, and all extraneous material also. Because pests have no preference for commercial or non-commercial shipment. Pest is a pest. So the same thing applies, must be clean, free from soil or pests. Please, And soil is a no-no for every country. No country wants soil, because the pathogen in soil you can't see. So you have no, soil is a no-no, irrespective of where you're going. When a country might tolerate a density of one pest or not actionable, once it's soil, please. It must be inspected and certified by a plant quarantine produce inspection branch. So irrespective of non-commercial, it still must be, and it must satisfy the minimum labeling standard. So, and you must label it also, right? And it must be clean, new bags or boxes also. So that you must have for non-commercial. So don't think that I'm doing a non-commercial, so I'm exempted from all those conditions. No, it's not. The only thing you're exempted from is that you won't require to have an approved facility. But remember, if you keep on having interception coming here, we're going to see where you're packing it from. So if we see 1 and 2 inspectors start to see more than X amount of interception when you come to the airport, we are going to say, can't approve it anymore because where you're packing it from is not conducive. Or we might have to do a visit to see where you're packing it from. Please take note of that. All right, non-commercial shipment must be presented for inspection, as I said, in clean packages. And this is one item that must, when you leave here today, if you don't forget, if you don't remember anything else, you must remember this one if you're a non-commercial shipper. Maximum weight 20 pounds, irrespective of the number of packages. So if it's 1 package you have, the maximum is 20 pounds. If it's 100 packages, the maximum weight, when you add up all the 100 pounds, all the 100 boxes or bags, 20 pounds, irrespective of the number of packages. And am I clear with that one? Maximum of 20 pounds, right? And don't come here and trick me and things, you never know you come with your brother, your sister, your nephew. And 4 and come here and everybody have 20 pounds, and they leave here is 80 pounds. We know when the system is trying to be breached. And one of the things, let me tell you, I don't like to tell people just what to do. I tell you why you must not do it. The more shipment you have, the higher the risk of pests or it not being compliant with international regulation. So when you allow a man with a 5 pound or a 10 pound, we realize you have the time, you have the space, you can manage 120 pounds. When you go to 80 pounds, that's a commercial shipment, meaning that you have to have all the amenities in your facility to facilitate that processing. So just understand the reason for that. Because when you try to trick us and you go abroad and you get interception, it is not going to come back to you, it's going to come back to the country. And we have been having a lot of interception from abroad. That is why we had to put in system in place to manage the non-compliance that we're getting. Because when people go to the post office or they go to and they take it, when it's intercepted abroad, then it's not coming back to you, you know. It's coming back to Jamaica, and then no country care how it coming to their country. They're going to say where it's coming from. And what you will be doing, you'll be jeopardizing all the other exporters. And you'll be jeopardizing the country itself. Because you might have a situation where an international country decide, listen, we're not going to be taking any herb from Jamaica because we're having too much pests in it. And you, once you start to go across border, you no longer think about yourself. You think about the country and your fellow countrymen, please. So don't try to beat the system, because as we know, Jamaica are a genius, you know, in beating system. We jump the fence when the gate is open and we gloat. You know that, right? You go to a match, you see people jumping the fence and it's free. So please, just take that in consideration. All right, so processing of documents for non-commercial shipment, plant quarantine branch, and then it goes to the courier service. Or you take it there yourself. But some courier service have a pickup where they do it. So you whatever means you have, that is the processing of documents. All right, so I spoke of phytosanitary certificate. So all shipment must be accompanied by a phytosanitary certificate. Please ensure that is done. And I spoke already in terms of you must contact your country to obtain requirement for import permit. Please do some of the work yourself. It's your business. All right. So not everything require plant quarantine inspection and certification. Right. So you have processed materials such as if it is cooked, if it is candied meaning add sugar to it, shredded, grounded, pulverized, or powdered. All of those things would not require. So you look at it, you see in the turmeric powder, you see in the jerk seasoning, you see in the guinea hen weed, all of those things. It is at a level now where it does not require. So you can just ship that. Just to advise that when you're doing processing, then you need to contact Bureau of Standard for their assistance where that is concerned. Because processing now falls under Bureau of Standard. And right, so just take note of the slide. These are some of the things that do not require. As I said to you, one of my things I like to tell you why, not just tell you not to why. So as I spoke to you before, I said categorization of commodities. I did say to you that NPPOs is National Plant Protection Organization, and I said plant quarantine is a competent body for Jamaica in terms of NPPO. So you have three groups in terms of processing. One, if it has not been processed. So if it's not been processed, meaning that it's in natural state, then you know that you would have to have a phytosanitary certificate to have to inspect it. If it is processed to some degree, then that again will tell you whether or not you need a phytosanitary certificate. So the method of processing will determine if you need a permit. So you have people drying things and they might dry it through a kiln drying, or they might put it through some process where the heat is at a certain temperature where they have killed the pest. Then you won't need it. But all of those would have required documentation to prove what kind of processing you do. So if you know you're doing some form of processing, you can contact plant quarantine and we'll tell you whether or not you need a inspection for that. So you might, and then you have to have documentary evidence to show. And if it is processing, then you go to Bureau of Standard. Right? The next thing you look at is intended use. There are some, so the intended use will determine again the phytosanitary risk. So if it's going to be used for consumption, the risk might be lower, as opposed to it being used for planting. Because once you plant something, the virus or whatever is in there can be in the soil for years to come, decades. So there's a different risk if you're going to do doing planting material. If you're going to the States, you're going to be doing seeds, then you're going to need an import permit. And if you're doing certain form of herb spices that are going to be in the seed form, let me find. Solange, what is one they use? Moringa seed? Huh? Yeah, say doing moringa seed. If it's seed in that form, remember, even though you're going to be doing it for consumption, those seeds can be planted, it can be grown. So that is an issue. So I'll recommend for people sometimes, if you're doing those seeds, you got to crush it or put it in a form that is not going to be able to grow. But for once it's a seed is natural, so you're going to require an import permit. So people come here sometime with a moringa seed, then we're going to say no, because you have to prove that it's not for that purpose. So again, process or not, the degree of processing and the intended use. Question was asked in terms of seeds. Seeds are high risk. No country allows seeds like that. So you have to be certified coming here. And the next thing too, when you do seeds, when you come here and you say you did not germinate, then you say, boy, plant quarantine release seeds, but not good. That is why we have to have a certificate of analysis to say that. So be guided of your export, whether it be commercial or non-commercial. Once you're doing seeds or planting materials, those are going to require a different risk. Right, so that I want you to take up. I'm going to just summarize for you 2 slides, which will have actually and give you a brief of the entire presentation. You can scan this, you can take a picture of it, whatever you want to do, but when you leave here, you must leave here with these 2 slides. Commercial exporter for agricultural produce must be registered plant quarantine branch, prepare in an approved packing facility, packed in new, clean, or properly labeled bags or boxes, make an appointment for inspection, and you must present all produce for inspection and certification. So I'm going to give you a time to either take a picture of the slide or whatever you want to do, save it, but you must remember this slide when you leave here today. And that is for commercial shipment. Non-commercial shipment does not require a certified packing facility. Maximum of 20 pounds will be allowed. Must be packed in new, properly labeled containers. Once inspected and certified, must be taken immediately to the courier service. Reason for that, we don't know where you're going to store it. So when we certify it, that is why we ask you to make an appointment and we find out who you're going to send it with. Because when we certify it, it must have a phytosanitary certificate. And most of it is done electronically nowadays. So it is done and sent straight. If you're doing a courier, say you're doing DHL, the certificate is sent straight to DHL. You don't have to wait on it. The inspector, you're going. If you're doing the postal service, now we have to give you that. So we have to ensure that you leave here in a time in which you can actually reach the post office. You know, when I come here, 4 o'clock for inspection, and we know the post office closed 5 o'clock. No, that is some of the reasons why we take that in consideration. And the courier postal service must ensure the agricultural items are stored and transported in a manner to protect the consignment from pests. Those are some of the things. So again, allow you a couple seconds to scan, take a picture, or memorize it if you can of this particular slide.
Sir Hastings, could you just go back to the next slide, please? Done.
Okay. Are we good with this slide now? Can I move on? All right, so that was a summary of the non-commercial and commercial shipment which you want to go. All right. Yes, so I'll just end with this slide. I did say in my introduction when I was been done that I'm actually the regional chair for International Year of Plant Health and for the Caribbean, and I'm also the national chair for the planning committee for Jamaica. So International Year of Plant Health has been was celebrated in 2020 by United Nations. However, due to the pandemic, it was extended into 2021, takes us up into July. So and the aim of it is to raise awareness to the general public as the contribution of plant health to agriculture and the human race. With emphasis on ending hunger, reducing poverty, protecting the environment, and today's presentation is a fitting one, boosting safe trade and economic development. And I think that's it. That kind of capture what we do today, boosting safe trade and economic development. Just want to share with you that remember that 98% of the air you breathe come from plants, 80% of the food you eat come from plants. So if you don't protect the plant and have a healthy plant, we're not going to have a healthy race or even existing. Somebody's. Please mute your mic. All right. So just to say that, please, I want to just end with this presentation that we must ensure that we protect plant health. It's everybody's responsibility. And that, in a sense,
excuse me a minute. Can you show about the slide for me, please? Excuse me a minute. Can you show about the slide for me, please?
Which one? This one?
All of the slide, please.
Which slide do you want to see?
All of them in terms of the contact.
What slide do you want to see? We cannot show all the slides. Please to mute.
The slide as in the process, as in how to check for contamination, where I should go and so on. The process from there. We're not.
All right. So once you provide,
hello.
Once you provide, hello.
Yes. Can you
provide? Once you provide an email address when you are registering, we will be sending the presentation to you. So please just send if you have not done so, send it in the chat. We cannot go through the slides again. All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And so that is those are the contact information for plant quarantine. Please feel free to take a picture, scan it, and you can feel free to call us for any additional information that you might want where export is concerned. So
yes,
that is the
thing,
contact information.
When you process like the chain root and put it through a shredder and it's not in the powder, are you still allowed to ship it without inspection?
It depends on the level of shredding that is done, because some people might just cut it up where the risk. So we would have to look at it for you and we'll see where the risk is. So
I run it through an electric processor shredder, so it doesn't look, and it look like sawdust when I'm finished with it. Sawdust.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, that wouldn't, but feel free, let us know. I remember what would happen, that we would have to send a no objection letter to the post office or DHL to say that we have no interest in it. And for us to say that we have no interest, we have to provide what it is. So once you are doing it, let us know. We'll look at it and they will give you that letter to take to the courier service or the post office.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? If the sun dry, using the natural sun, how effective is it? That? Are you good with that?
Yeah. You know what I mean? All right, that would not take away from it, but my colleague will speak more to that in her presentation. And she'll be doing a more in-depth presentation on the handling and storage of herbs and spices. So just to say that that would not suffice. All right, go ahead. Any other question?
Mr. Hastings, please, we have 2 questions earlier. Somebody, Gail Brown, wanted to know how long does a license last when it's issued?
Oh, 1 year. Everything lasts for 1 year, so it's every year it must be renewed. So you are certified once, and you're recertified on a yearly basis.
And another question: does the maximum of 20 pounds mean the net weight?
That would be the gross weight, 20 pounds.
Okay. Omar, you can go ahead with your question.
I was saying that I ship like dry herbs, you know what I mean, and like powder only. So I normally do that through the post office. All of that has changed since COVID. So I wanted to know what's the necessary requirements now.
All right. As I said to you before, once it is plant or plant product, you need certification from us. However, there are some exemption. What I said, powder would not require, but the post office would not make that decision because they just so you would have to inform the plant quarantine of what you are doing, and then we will give you a no objection letter to say to plant to post office that these items have been processed to the extent where the risk of pest, phytosanitary risk is non-existent, so you don't need a phytosanitary certificate. So you just contact plant quarantine. I will give you a letter where that is concerned. Once you provide us evidence that this is what you are doing.
Mr. Hastings,
did that answer your question?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I wanted to know that.
To that question.
Yes,
wonderful. Wonderful.
When I bring the product to the inspection at the quarantine, and it's processed to the point that is like when you cut up callaloo, because when I put the leaves through the electric processor, it chop up, and them still say if it's not powder like flour, I still have to come.
Because remember, as I said to you, it depends on the extent of your processing. You cut it up does not mitigate the risk of pests. Pests can be inside here just the same, and a lot of times, sometimes it's how do you store it after? Okay, a lot of people do it, and when they store it, it is also open for contamination. So that's what I'm saying to you. You know, it all depends on the degree of processing. You cutting up, you buy callaloo in the market, right? Sometimes I see my wife buy callaloo in the supermarket because she don't like to cut up the callaloo. When she check it, worm is inside here just the same. So we will know the degree of processing, what we call would mitigate you not having a phytosanitary certificate.
All right, Mr.
Hastings. Did I answer? Go ahead.
2 last questions before we invite Solange Johnson to join us. One is a follow-up to the previous question where the letter that is given, do they have to make all times or that letter suffice for a period of time?
Right, what we will do, we'll give a for a period of time. I will specify exactly what you are doing. So you cannot change it. So you can say we give you for a time, what we call it powder. Some for the time in the powder form. And because you get that letter. Right. And then when tomorrow you go to the post office with that letter with something else that is not. So we will specify exactly. That is the reason for you to tell us exactly what you are doing. We look at the process and we give you a letter specific to that item. So it is only for that.
And the cost for that letter is what?
No, the letter is free. We don't charge you for the letter.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. We'll now invite, thank you everyone for your questions. We'll now invite Ms. Janelle Wilson introduction for our next presenter.
Our next presenter is Ms. Solange Johnson. She holds a bachelor's degree in environmental studies, which was jointly through College of Agricultural Science and Education and the Nova Scotia University in Canada. She also has an Associate of Science degree in General Agriculture. She is a Product Safety Alliance lead trainer and Food and Drug Administration Food Safety Certifying Officer. Ms. Solange works with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries in the plant quarantine produce inspection branch for over 13 years as a plant quarantine produce inspector. In this capacity, she is a regulator for the importation and exportation of all plant and plant-related agricultural produce. Ms. Johnson's core functions include, but not limited to, inspection and auditing of fresh produce packing houses, port of entry, which is our sea and air, surveillance and monitoring, and aircraft and sea vessel inspection. She has also worked in the capacity as a food safety compliance personnel, fresh produce facility auditor, and trainer. She was instrumental in the drafting and development of Jamaica's first Good Manufacturing Practices Manual, which was published in January 2018. She currently is working on the guidance document to assist fresh produce exporters in the drafting of a food safety plan for their packing facilities. Ms. Johnson is also a mother of 2 boys, 7 and 3. She loves to read, play computer games, as well as browsing the internet. So let us know. Welcome, Ms. Johnson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me. All right.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hastings have dealt with a lot of plant quarantine issues, so I won't go over what he has been through, and I hope persons were taking notes. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm seeing some familiar faces like Miss Idel, and I heard Mr. McAlpin also. Good
Hi,
that you all are
Solange.
here.
Oh.
Let me share my screen. All right, I'll be talking about the handling and packaging of dried herbs for export. And I know some of our current shippers, you may see some of your products here, like Mr. McAlpin. It's good to show that you are doing good business and you're following the procedures. So you showcase your work to others so they can follow suit. All right, we have a few terms here we'd like to look at the meaning of, like food safety. I know some person will say food, but we are only doing herbs. But once you are going to consume it, and on our FITO we state for consumption, so we have to talk about the safety measures of those herbs. So food safety is a scientific discipline describing handling, preparation, and storage of food in ways that prevent contamination. Handling, how you manage the herbs, any aspect of the operation in the preparation, transporting, storage, packing, wrapping, or delivery of that product. And the processing, I know a person would say, we look at processing in 2 regimes. Processing where you alter the product, where it does, plant quarantine does not have any say in that product anymore because the whole product has changed from one extreme to the next. Or processing, how you go about doing the operation, how to reach at the end product. So it's a systematic series of action directed to something in the end product. And the final term we look at is product, a thing produced by or resulting from the process of labor. So you will see these terms coming out in the presentation. I just want to introduce the meaning for them. These questions that you're seeing on screen, if you are in here and you know all the answers to these questions, well, I'm not going to say you're not supposed to be here because knowledge is never too much, but you are well on your way. But if you don't know the answer to these questions, that's why you are here today. First question, where and who do you get your products from for export? Do you know where you're getting the herbs from? When you go to the market and buy it, do you know who give those vendors the herbs? What are you looking for during processing or the preparation of the herbs? Do you have any idea what you are looking for or what you should be looking for? What safety measures put in place to protect your customers or your consumers? Who are you supplying these products to? And are you aware of the importing countries' regulations and requirements before sending these products into their country? So we're going to look a little bit into these questions more in depth. I'm going to start from the bottom up. Are you aware of the importing countries' regulations? In the US, for US, we're going to look at the US. One of their main requirements is a no pest. No pest at all should be on the item, no soil. For the dry herbs, we have to give a phytosanitary certificate for the non-commercial herbs. For commercial quantity, we do a pre-inspection, and if no pest is found, which I'm not going to say highly unlikely, but most time we recommend that you get it treated because we select on a sample basis, and the sample that we select for inspection, no pest might not be in that sample, right? But then the majority of the herbs might contain pests, so we'd recommend that you get it treated. And once it gets treated, we have to give a phytosanitary certificate as well. So for both commercial and non-commercial, a phytosanitary certificate is required for dried herbs. Also, an import permit for some form of herbs. And also for the treatment, if the herbs, like for example, the bitterwood, if the bark is contained under the hood or the bark itself, it has to be treated, whether by fumigation with methyl bromide or heat treatment. So the bark and the wood chip with the bark has to be treated. For the United Kingdom, same too, no pest, no soil, and a phytosanitary certificate must accompany both commercial and non-commercial shipments. No fumigation for United Kingdom. So the fumigation as a treatment is only for the US, but no pest, no soil, but a phytosanitary certificate must accompany the shipments. Canada, no fumigation, just the same. No pest, no soil. For the non-commercial shipment, however, phytosanitary certificate is required. If you're sending out commercial quantity, no phytosanitary certificate is required for the herbs. Grand Cayman and some Caribbean countries, import permit, no pest, just the same, no soil, and a phytosanitary certificate. And for some Caribbean country, for Trinidad, for example, I know that they require the import permit before the goods reaches their shore. So, and Cayman as well. So if you don't produce an import permit, we will not inspect and certify that goods because we know it's a requirement by the importing country. So that's why I said you need to be aware of the requirements of the importing countries before you take the goods here. Okay? Where do you get your products from? You ended up with some nice leaves and at the market, or do you have certified farms for these herbs? Are persons investing in planting these herbs, the guinea hen, the dog blood and all these herbs, or you just get them from the roadside or sidewalk, your backyard, in the hills or forested area, or you just buy it at the market? We have to know the source of production to prevent contamination of these products because at the roadside, it is open to a lot of contaminants, human waste, animal waste, just about anything. Just in our backyard, just the same. Chemical. Enough of us spray the backyard with some form of chemical. These herbs may be privy to these chemicals. So you have to know where the herbs are coming from. And if we all follow like what our grandparents used to do, most persons, once the herbs is dried, they don't boil it. You just hot your water, wash a few leaves or a piece of twigs, and you just drop it in there and cover it and let it steam for a while. So it all the nutrients or whatever is in there that comes out in the hot water, and then sweeten it and drink it. So it does not go through any detailed processing that could get rid of any harmful contaminants that may be on it. So you have to know and ensure that what you are bringing here, it is safe for consumption. Some of these contaminants we can't see with our naked eyes. We may be able to see the fungus and the pests, but we can't see biological hazards on it, like the E. coli, the salmonella, and all of those things. We can't see them with our naked eyes. What are you looking for during your preparation? Before packing up the products for export, ensure that the products are free from the following: free from pests, free from stones, sticks, shells, straws, nail, screws, bottle covers. All of these that I'm listing, we find them in the samples when we are doing our inspections. Bird feathers, bird droppings, fowl feathers, even band-aids we find in when we are doing our inspections. And once we find these items in there, we have to do a rejection, especially with the fowl feathers and the bird droppings, because once you see fowl feather or bird feather or fowl droppings, we start to think about salmonella. Salmonella is in the digestive tract of the bird. So once we see any sign of these things on the leaves, we have to reject, because we can't see salmonella with our naked eyes, right? Damage or spoiled produce. If you see some form of spoiling or fungus growing or mold or mildew or insect damage on the leaf, remove those before you pack them into your final product. Don't just put them in there and just group them and bring them here, because once we open the package and there is any sign of mildew or molds or insect damage on the leaf, to reject it. And once you make the payment for your inspection, that's what to know too. The payment is for inspection and certification. So you pay before we inspect, and you don't want to let your money go down the drain. So if you carry spoiled produce here and we inspect and have to reject, your money is going to go down the drain. All right. Can the person just mute the microphone, please? All right, let me show you some samples of what we found in some of the packaging. These were some lime leaves, came from a commercial shipment, and you can see these little black spots on the leaves. Those are actually thrips, insects. Now, during your selection, if you see a leaf like this and it is distorted and damaged and brown, all of that should be removed from the sample. Over on your right here, if you can see clearly, there's a nail. Yes, there's a nail. We have stones, we have sticks, straws. All of these were found in shipments. At the bottom here, a piece of bitterwood chip. You can see the mildew on the bitterwood chip. It seems as if it was green and it's placed in the packaging. I'm kind of competing with some noisy background. Could you mute the microphone, please? All right. As I was saying, it could be that the bitterwood chip, it was green and they place it in the bag. And you know, the plant does not die as you cut it. So it keeps on respiring. So when all that air is given off, there's nowhere for it to escape. So it just stay in the package and the wood began to spoil. Fungus start to grow on it. You have to ensure that these things are placed and dry properly before you put them in packaging. On your right, if you see some soursop leaves, all these holes on the leaves are insect damage. Insect eat up the leaves. All these should be removed before you pack them into your final product. Would you go to the market and buy any of these? You say you're going to buy some soursop leaf or cinnamon leaves and you see them damaged with insect bites. Would you choose this to go home with? That's the question you need to ask. So if you would not choose it to go home, why would you want to send it to someone else overseas, out of the country? This is a representation of Jamaica, you know. So you don't want to send bad products out, right? Some of the common sources of contamination, we the people ourselves. How often do you wash your hands before you touch the product? Do you wash your hands before or after? The knives, the tables, the buckets, the bins, the bags, all the tools and equipments and the tools. Do you wash them? Can they be cleaned? Right? Those can be a source of contamination. Pests, where you store your things, cockroach might be there, right? Source of contamination again. The environment in itself. Some persons, they like spread out a piece of zinc and throw the herbs outside on it. It's not recommended. When you put the herbs outside, it is open to any and all contaminants in the environment. Bird droppings, rodents, flies. That is not recommended. Animals, another source of contaminants. Do you have household pets at home? You put the herbs out for dry, the leaves are so warm in the sun, the cat go and stretch out on it, right? The facility, the home, where you're doing the product, is it safe? It can be a source of contaminants, right? Safety measures to be put in place. We put safety measures in place to prevent contamination and cross-contamination of the product. As I said before, contamination can be caused from many sources. If not prevented, can result in foodborne illnesses or even death. All contact surfaces of the product should be able to be cleaned and sanitized before and after use. So if it's just one table you have where you spread out the herbs on, before you spread the herbs, clean it off. You can just dilute a little bleach, wipe it off. When it's dry, you spread your herbs on it. If it's just one knife you have, make sure you clean it before you use it. And I'm talking about the non-commercial persons now, because I know the commercial, you will have to have your separate tables, knives, bins, all of those would have to be separate. Because during certification, we have to see those things before we certify you. So for the non-commercial persons who are doing some little things at their home, ensure that you have clean and sanitized product using before you put the herbs on it, right? Let's look at who you are sending your herbs to. Do you know exactly who you're sending the herbs to? When you bring the herbs here and you ship it out to your cousins, your aunties, or your friends, who are they selling it to? None of us know. It is being sold to a large number of persons. Yes, some may end up into some small processors who add other additives to it so that may reduce certain things. It may go to some pharmaceutical companies. We never know who or whose plate or whose cup it's going to end up in. So we have to put in the work at home to ensure that we are sending out safe product to prevent foodborne illnesses. Let's look at the operations done for herbs export. All herbs must be sourced from clean and safe areas that are not contaminated by any form of waste and other harmful contaminants. Clean containers or bags, we cannot stress this enough. You may see it in Mr. Hastings' presentation, is still here again. Do not reuse packaging. Must be in, when you're transporting the herbs, whether from the field or some persons may take the chance and buy it from the market. You're processing it at your home, wherever. Ensure that the containers that you are using are clean. Soil, So if you're going to do guinea hen roots, ensure that the soil or the damaged areas are removed from the herbs before you put them to dry. Because when you put the herbs to dry with the soil on it, it's going to be harder to remove the soil. Because once you wet that herb that is already dried, you can open up a door to a lot of contaminants, because it may not dry properly. So you're going to end up with mold on the product when you wet it to remove the soil, right? So wash the roots, remove the soil, then put it to dry. Place herbs on surfaces that are easily cleaned and sanitized, that are food safe, and air is able to pass through. For example, a plastic lattice. I'm going to show you an example of what the plastic lattice look like, or food grade mesh. So when you spread the herbs out to dry, ensure that air is able to pass underneath and above. Allow herbs to be air dried properly, ensuring that they are turned regularly. All product must be dried within a covered area free from pests, not outside on a piece of zinc. So if you are doing some small shipments where it may not even reach up to the 20 pounds that is the maximum, some little bags of herbs, and you're doing it at home, nothing is wrong with doing it at home. It's just that you have to put in the work to ensure that it is safe. So you would have to invest in a bit. So buy a piece of lattice, buy a piece of mesh, a food grade mesh, and you cover the herbs outside. You put it outside, but you ensure that you cover it so it is not open up to pests. Wooden and painted surfaces are not recommended for use. And why I say painted surfaces, there is a chemical in paint that is harmful. It's called carbendazole. When you paint a wooden surface and you put anything wet on it, the wood absorbs the paint and all of that, and it can pass on to the product. So wooden and painted surfaces are not recommended for use. Here are some samples of the items that are not recommended for use. If you look on your, would be my left, this wooden table here. Can someone just unmute the mic and tell me why we would not recommend this table for use, the wooden table by itself? Quickly.
No airflow.
Very good. No airflow, that's one. What else you see?
Can trap bacteria.
Very good.
It's cluttered.
Yes. So
the surface of the table is rough. The surface of the table is rough.
Waterproof.
Sorry?
It's rough.
Yeah, it's
and
rough.
It's rough, yes. It's rough.
Yeah. And for wood chips would get into the product that you're dealing with.
Exactly. So you know what, you know the things that we are looking for. So this table would not be suitable to do processing on. What about the one in the middle? Yes, it has a metal flat sheet surface, but look at the grooves, how it has been joined. These areas that are joined can be source of growth for bacteria and even fungus and molds. So it can contaminate your product, although it's a metal sheeting and there is no air passing through. So when you place herbs on this, the herbs at the bottom will not be able to dry it properly. Look over here, linoleum is maybe a cheaper and easier material to get. But have you ever tried putting any form of solvent or little bleach and linoleum and see what happened? It began to strip. So imagine you try to sanitize this and put your herbs on it. So it is not recommended, right? Here are some examples of tables that are recommended. This is the lattice that I was talking about. You can buy the lattice and it is not, putting the herbs on the lattice won't cost a lot of weight. So it's not easy to break with the herbs, right? Unless it's the chainy root alone you're gonna do, you'd have to put some form of enforcement like with the table. But like putting the leaves to dry, you can cut the lattice and build some shelves and put it on it. So air will be able to pass through from, yes, it's a plastic lattice.
What is the dimension of that?
it's fixed at the hardware. Yes, it's about the size of
small ones.
Most of these things come 8x4.
Okay.
No, not the length. I'm talking about those little cubes that may result in your herb.
Oh, the holes. You have different size, because I've seen lattice where the holes are smaller and bigger than the one that I have here. So it comes with different size.
But those are the standard one at hardware, the small one.
Yes, they have the small ones. I've been through what's the name of the hardware? Rapid True Value, and I've seen them with two different types. They have one that is very small, and they have the one that is this size, smaller than this size and this size that I'm showing here.
But these couldn't be. You're suggesting that when we're drying it, we should cover the area that's, because this is like an enclosed room.
Could you repeat?
The room look enclosed. So you're not talking about sun dry here.
No.
I'm just thinking that the last lattice being plastic eventually will deteriorate and get brittle. You know, so it can be a contaminant by itself. Or may I overthink?
This is what the exporters of fresh produce place on the table, as you seen on the right. And after each shipment, the table are hello? You hearing me?
Could you repeat? You lost
a little bit. Yes, I realize my internet connection is unstable.
Okay.
As I was saying before, the lattice is easily cleaned and sanitized. So it's a recommendation. If you find other suitable material that can be used, which does not contaminate the product and allow for air drying and easily clean and sanitize, then you can use it. But this is a recommendation. As you've seen with the tables that are made from metal and iron, the lattice is placed on top of it with an enforcement underneath. And these tables are holding hundreds of pounds of yams. And as soon as they are finished, they are washed and sanitized. So because of the ease of cleaning and sanitization, the product is being aired and it's easily sourced and available. We recommend this lattice, but if you have something else that can be used, then go ahead and choose that. Just a recommendation.
It would be good for heavy stuff, but not for herbs. As to say, if you process herbs, it would fall right through it, though.
Yes, that's what I was
You'd have to get the one with the smaller size. Or you put a plastic mesh underneath. What most persons do, I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the Chinese supermarket where they have the diamond mesh wire, like the stiff one. That's what most persons use on the table and then put the lattice on top. Because the product should not be come in contact with any wood or metal directly.
Thank you.
So that's why we recommend the lattice. All right?
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Your knives, no wooden handle knife is recommended to use. As we talk about the wooden table, the same thing goes with the wooden handle knife. It can be a source of contaminants, especially in the little grooves right here at the knife with the wood, where the metal meet the wood. So we recommend use plastic handle knives. Storage of your herbs. Herbs must be stored in a clean, dry area free from pests and animals and no hazardous chemicals. So you can't put the herbs, go through all the process and cover it when you put it outside and dry it, and then you bring it inside and just leave it on the counter or the kitchen table open up, and you're not sure if there's going to be roach crawling in there or house flies or anything going to pitch on it and all of that. So ensure that wherever you're putting the herbs to store, it is free from pests and hazardous chemicals. And when I say hazardous chemicals, I'm talking about even the cooking oil in your house. I'm talking about bleach, gas oil, and all those things, because a little touch of that on piece of the herbs and you put it with the other, mix it up in the batch, you are cross-contaminating everything. So everything becomes contaminated at the end of the day. Herbs and containers must be stored off the floor to prevent contamination. So don't put the container with the herbs directly on the ground. If you have access to pallets, use pallets, or if you have a box, can put it on top of the box or counters or tables. Don't place them directly on the ground. Packaging for herbs must be stored in a covered container. Too many times I have visited packing facility and the boxes and the bags and the things that you use to finish your final packaging are just thrown down, open up. They must be covered. So pests or other insects cannot have access to it, because you might have your clean packaging in it and you put it down, it's not covered. And then, for God forbid, some roach or some other pests crawl in there. And by crawling, they leave some form of contaminants that you can't see with your naked eye. So when you take that clean, dry herbs and put it in that that container or that bag or box, it's gonna become contaminated, right? And you don't know when testing is going to be done. So, and you don't, so you're trying to prevent the inevitable. Labeling, the minimum requirements, the common name, the name of which is the company name, sorry. If you have a company, if you don't have a company, the name of the product, the weight, the country of origin. Labeling and package must coincide with the information on the export documents. So you can't turn up and you have pimento, guinea hen, and when you go to the post office, the sheet that you're gonna enter and put on the box, you're gonna have something different and saying it's coming from Tom Jones when we write on the file to John Tom. Everything must match, right? See some sample packaging. You can create your own labels or something simple like this with the nutmeg. These nutmegs were part of other shipments. So on the main box that is going to be sent with all of these, then you will have the company name, the country of origin and all of that. But the item itself have on its individual name. So when that box is open, you will see nutmeg labeled differently, guinea head, dog blood. Too many times persons turn up here with herbs and they don't know the name, and we don't know the name either. So we cannot certify that herb. So you must know the name of the herb that you're turning up with, and it must be labeled. And the labeling is not supposed to be done after inspection. It must be done before. So all that work done before you take it to us here for inspection.
One question, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
With that packaging of the nutmeg, I agree that the outside label on the box would contain all the information. But what happens if the nutmegs are going to be retailed individually? That labeling on it would not be sufficient. So it depends on who they're going to, what they're doing. But, you know, I just want to put that out.
Yes, that's why we request the intended use also. We want to know that information when you get here. So if you're sending this nutmeg, we would know too, because this small amount of nutmeg, we know that it was going to a family member. So we would allow and we weigh ourselves and put the weight on it. But if you come with about like a 10 pounds of nutmeg, we know that that is going to go to a retailer. So on that 10-pound bag, we're supposed to see nutmeg, the weight, and the company name and the country of origin, because we know it's going to go to a retailer. But when it comes with some small little bags, we know that, yeah, this is just for household. You're sending it to your cousin or your auntie or your mother or father. It's not going to go to a retail, right? Does that answer the question? All right, let's go on. Everybody hearing me? Hope I don't lose anybody my internet again.
Yes, man, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And packaging of the herbs. Ensure proper inspection and sorting is done before packaging. Don't just, I know sometimes you may break the limbs of the plant, like for the neem, you may break off some of the branches and you put it to dry. When you're are packing for your final packaging, remove any leaves that have on some black spot, because you may not know what the black spot is. So prevention better than cure. So remove those as the herbs are dry. So don't dry the herbs from last week and have them put down at home. Once it is dry, start the packaging and seal the package until you're ready to come and do the inspection. Don't dry them and put them down until next 3 weeks, because you're opening it up to some form of contaminants, pests. You have some insects that love cool, dark, dry places. And could that person mute the microphone?
Tell her.
Hello?
Miss, okay, okay, good.
I can continue now?
Yes, you can, yes.
All right. All right, so to minimize contamination, as I was saying before, packing should be done as soon as the herbs are dry. Don't dry them, tie up in a box and so forth. Some insect like cool, dark, dry places, especially the leaves, with certain leaves, you will have them hiding underneath the leaves. So as soon as the herbs are dried properly, pack them in and then you seal the packaging. You may plan to ship out at the end of the month, but you have done them in batches. Learn to do your packing in batches. So you get a batch of herbs, it is dried and everything, pack it and seal the packaging so no insect can have access to it. Products must be appropriately packed in new, clean, dry packaging. And we keep on saying that because we saw persons turning up with feeding bags. Use bags that rice, flour, all those bags. No, clean, dry packaging. No reusing of bags and boxes. All right. And if you turn up at the airport with this, we're not going to process your shipment. We're not going to inspect and certify. Here are some sample of packaging. Some simple ones, just Ziploc bags and you label it. The poly bags and you label it. Or you use your sealer. And after you seal it with the Ziploc, you use the Ziploc and lock it, you seal it so nothing else can go in there. But one thing you have to note though, if you seal it before you get here, we have to open to do our inspection. Insect loves to hide. So for example, with this bag right here, you may think that, hey, it is clear, the officer can just shake it and look inside of it. No, we have to open and pour out the contents on the table. Most time when we pour it out and look on our inspection table, you saw some little insects running up and down because they hide between the leaves and the rest of herbs. So ensure that if you want to travel with different packaging, so when we open that, you just put it back in a package and seal it back, no problem. But just bear in mind that we have to open the package when it gets here to do our inspection. So it's up to you the type of packaging that you want to use. If you want to use just simple Ziploc bags or poly bags, but ensure that they are labeled before you get here. So this bag right here, it contains seriously, but if I take out this content to inspect it, I don't know what is in there. You turn up with it, I don't know. So this content would not be able to be sent with the shipment because it wasn't labeled, right? And the final thing I'll step on a bit is record keeping. I know some of you may say that I'm not doing a big business, it's just some little herbs I'm sending out, but you need to have records. It can't just be one exercise book you buy and you buy 20 pound guinea hen weed from Marstam on May 5th. To dry 3 times, you cover it when it's dried, you pack it in the bags. Just write down enough information and ensure when you're putting on the records, the date is there. You need records because you may start out small and then you contact us and say, hey, I don't want to do herbs alone anymore. I get a consignee for yams and I have a packing house and need it to come and certify. You will already have the concept of record keeping. So when to do more records and go more in depth with records, you're already practicing, so it won't be hard for you. You must be able to correct your mistakes. So if you did do something wrong, when you record it and you go back and look, you say, hey, but this is an error that I've made. So you change what was done and you prevent the mistake from recurring in the future. So it doesn't matter how small the business is, record keeping is a must. And I put back the contact information for all those who have missed the contact information for our main offices and the export complexes. So this is the end of my presentation. Open for questions, comments. And I give you in the Jamaican language. This is the end of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. We have some questions that was typed in the chat before. Somebody wanted to know. Go ahead.
I'm gonna open the chat also. Go ahead.
Okay. Is it okay to buy something from a supermarket which is already packed and labeled and send it abroad with all or some of the requirements?
What exactly will you be buying from the supermarket? Because based on what I have seen in the supermarket are processed items. And once it is processed, where it has been ground or ground into powder or a small farm, we will not be inspected and certify that. You will get a no interest letter from us for that.
Okay. Thank you. Another person asked, if I'm shipping only 2 to 4 ounces at a time, will I need a certificate each time?
Yes, once it's dry herbs, you need the certificate. So it doesn't matter the quantity that you're shipping, you still need a certificate. You have to take it to us for inspection.
All right, another question. Persons are asking if they're traveling and have a suitcase and they have like the powders. Do you guys give them a letter or something?
No, we don't give the no exemption letter for the powders because the countries they're taking it to, they know exactly. They will see the process on it and all of that. So they will have to ensure though that what they are taking in the powder form is allowed into that country. But that's not with plant quarantine.
Okay. For the packaging that you're opening, they're asking if you open every one or is it just one or a few of them when you're inspecting?
For commercial shipment, we'll select a sample size. So a sample of each item in the shipment. For non-commercial, we open every single package.
All right, thank you. Another question, if I'm doing a combination of herbs, can the herbs be mixed or do they have to be separate?
Separate. So you will have one shipment with 20 different types of herbs. Each parcel weigh in a pound. The 20 different types of herb must be separate and labeled in their individual bags. You can end up with a 5 package of guinea hen. At the end of the day, if you are using small packaging, everything must be separate. No guinea hen and cerci mixed together. No pimento and nutmeg mixed together. Everything must be separate. So we can be able to itemize the herbs and identify them. Because we have to itemize them on the phytosanitary certificate.
Okay, thank you very much. Simone Mullins, you can go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Will the be presented? We have learned the whole process of how we should get it sealed with before we ship it overseas. Will there be a presentation? Will be somebody speaking on the topic of how we do the next preparation of getting it into the country, like overseas country? How do we get the certificate from the USDA and all those things to get it over there? Will you be speaking on that?
Okay, so you're let me see if I can understand your question. You're trying to find out the permit, the import permit from the importing country, how you get it. That's what you're trying to find out? Okay, so your consignee, the person that you're sending the goods or the product to, they are the ones that have to apply to USDA or the quarantine department in the country that you're sending it to for the import permit.
All right, so with that
So the
being said,
import permit will come in your consignee.
I've gone, the person that I'm selling to have gone on this site, but there's a whole list of different permits that we are seeing that we're not sure of, which is the correct one that we're supposed to be submitting. So if it is that you can guide us along the line. Are you hearing me?
You went out for a minute.
Oh, sorry about
Yes, he went out. So I'm trying to find out if he's trying to ask for guidance.
Yes. Because we have gone on the site and we have seen a lot of different permits. So we just need to know which one exactly are we supposed to apply to, so we don't apply to the wrong permit. How do we go?
Sorry about that. My internet went out.
Okay.
All right. So he for US, for the USA, I know of a fact that herbs, they have removed the whole notion. So you don't have to apply for import permit for dried herbs going to the US anymore. It's just that some types of herbs, like the herbs with the bark, chips with the bark, you have to treat them before. Everyone hearing me?
Solange.
Yes.
Wood chips. You're gonna need a permit from APIS, USDA APIS. It's a wood chip. You're gonna need a permit
for the
wood chips.
For the wood chip.
Treated. No, I think they removed the whole permit. It's just that you'd have to get the wood chip treated, whether by heat treatment or by fumigation.
All right, thank you. Mr. Winston Williams, you can go ahead with your question.
He's still muted.
All right, Miss Nakisha Palmer, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, who just started a business and I'm doing powdered ginger and turmeric, and because I just started back work, I will grind the powder. Is it okay to store them in a mason jar until I can package them and seal them?
I did not get what you are doing.
All right, so I'm doing turmeric powder and ginger powder. Oh. But because I just started back work, sometimes I will grind them to the powder and store them in the mason jar before I can package them and seal them. Is it okay to store them in the mason jar?
Yes, so as long as it's, pests can enter into the container that is being stored in.
Okay, that was my question.
All right,
but as you know, we wouldn't be certifying the turmeric and ginger powder because it would be in a powder form. So you would, if you take that to the post office and they send you here.
I didn't hear that. Your internet went. I heard about the post office and I didn't hear anything else.
Okay, I was saying that the turmeric and the ginger powder.
Yes.
We wouldn't be certifying that because the whole form of the turmeric and the ginger has changed. So it is process. So if you take it to the post office to be shipped and they send you to plant quarantine, you would get the no interest to go along with that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Williams, go ahead.
Yes, so what I want to know, I was listening to Mr. Hastings, and he says that the dimension of the packing house should be 1,000 square meters. What I want to know is square feet rather. Sorry. Yes. What I want to know is what kind of material we should make up that packing house, or mostly. Can it be wood or it have to be something else?
All right. For the operations area, we will be washing and doing most of your work.
Yes.
Wood is not recommended. The flooring has to be concrete.
Yeah.
And if you use wood to build the walls, after a period of time, you're gonna end up with fungus, mold, and that. So it's not recommended to use wood especially in the operation section. But like for your office area or like for your staff welfare area and those areas, since wood might be a cheaper option, they can use the wood to construct those areas. But for the operations area, no wood.
So like what one would use for that?
Concrete, and I've seen the concrete finishing thing name again. Mr. Aces, come and answer that part.
Yeah. All right. For the packing house, whatever you use have to be something that can be sanitized. So what we recommend in operation, you can use concrete up to about maybe 5 feet, and above that you can use mesh or whatever you want. So, but the area, at least the first 5 feet from floor, must be able to be sanitized. So that is what we are looking at, 5 to 6 feet sanitized. Above that, no, you can use other ID. And we say concrete, but what we always say is a recommendation. So it's for you to use any other material that can be properly sanitized. As a department, we can only recommend, we can mandate you what to use. So if you come up with a creative thing that can be sanitized, I've seen people use the concrete board. Use the concrete board and then just flash it, and that's okay, once it can be properly sanitized.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Thank you. We're taking 4 more questions. Mr. DL3 DL3, I'm not sure who it is. I see the hand up. There is no name attached.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, DL3. It's Elaine Stephen. Just a follow-up question. It was answered because my internet is also going in and out, so I'm not getting all of the answers to the questions that person are asking. But my question is, with different herbs, say I'm doing 7 different herbs and I'm combining all of these. You had said earlier that they have to be sent separately to be tested. So after they're tested, can they be combined? Because I want to do the product as a combination of 7.
All right. What we're saying is that if you have a shipment of 7 different herbs, each of the herb must be in a separate package. So if you have 7 herbs, they can be in the same box. However, each of the herb must be in a separate package. So we'll inspect that as a mixed consignment. So it's one inspection, but each must be packed individually. Did that answer you?
No, it doesn't. What I'm saying is that I want the 7 of them is one product. The 7 herbs, they go under one product.
It's what she's asking, if that she has a product that's a combination of herbs. So she wanted to know if the final product is a combination, does she have to send in the individual herbs, or can she do her mix, which is a combination of the different herbs, and send in that package to be examined?
What I'm getting for you, if you have one thing with 7 herbs, that is something that you are making as a product. It's not something that will be facilitated. We'd have to individually inspect it then, and you you would have to combine it because you'll be actually mixing up all the herbs. So we remember the pest risks depend on each commodity. So the pests that affect one might not affect the other.
Okay, so they have to get each herbs examined. That's the final. All right, we'll take 2 more questions. Omar, you have your hand up for a while. You can go ahead. And then Miss Watkins.
Yeah, so what I wanted to know, like the necessary requirements for me, like shipping like dried soursop leaf, I ship like sea moss, you know what I mean? And like I deal with like dry guava leaves as well, you know what I mean? And even powder like turmeric and powder ginger as well. So I wanted to know if I need to like contact like Jam Pro for like export license or so forth, because I normally like ship it through the post office before COVID, of course. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So basically, you're a non-commercial. You'd be doing non-commercial export. Because
yes,
so the next thing, you are only authorized to send out 20 pounds.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if it is 5 to 10 different herbs. It's 20 pounds. All of them should add up to.
Okay.
You don't need a certified facility for the 20 pounds. But if you want to go above the 20 pounds now, then you're going to need the packing house, where you will have to get the packing house requirements from us and follow those requirements and construct a facility meeting those requirements.
I don't go over that. So like that's why I wanted to like know the necessary like requirements. You know what I mean? Because it's mostly always like family members sometime, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So you want the necessary requirements for the packing house?
Not necessarily the packing house, because as I say,
for the non-commercial?
Yes.
For the non-commercial, all items, you would follow, you were in the first part of the presentation?
Yeah, I've been here right through.
Okay, so you would follow the directives that were given, and you pack them in your individual package, and then you take them to one of the plant quarantine office nearest to you. So if you are in any of the Western region, it would be Clarendon, the Kingston office would be nearer to you then.
Okay.
So you take the herbs to the Kingston office and you make your payment, get them inspected, and then you'll get your phytosanitary certificate to take to the post office along with your herbs.
So like that goes for like every individual shipment?
Every individual shipment, yes.
Whoa. So that means like every time, let I get some validation. So that means every time like I'm doing a shipment, I have to like leave Clarendon, go to Kingston, and like come back like to my post office to like ship the herb. Is that
yeah, that's how it is for now.
Huh?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's how it is for now, yes.
Okay. Clear.
All right, I'm seeing some persons in the chat. They joined the meeting late and they're interested to do the commercial shipment. I'm gonna put up the contact information sheet again. Just take a picture of it and contact the plant quarantine department, and then we will either email you a copy of the packing house requirements, or we can give you further information that is required.
Can you take one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Miss Watkins, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I am in the processing division. I receive a certificate from the Food Safety Preventative Control Alliance since last week. I need to know if I'm to register further with JACRO, on the other entities to make a start of exporting.
I just share a summary of the slide for commercial exports. So you can see that you must be registered plan quarantine, have a registered packing house, pack from the packing facility, make an appointment for inspection on that. So I just shared you a summary. You can take a picture of that slide. And when we share so that is actually a summary of what you would need to do for you to export. All right, it's since you joined late. So that's a summary slide. And we have shared with you the contact information for the planned quarantine. So feel free to call us and we will guide you further. And I think the presentation will be shared with you also.
Yes, you are correct, Mr. Hastings. Once you've shared your email address with us, we'll be sending you the presentation. And we want to...
Okay, thank you so much. I was wondering. Thank you.
Yes, you'll be getting it. Wow, what a wonderful presentation. It was truly, insightful, and we thank everybody.
Yes, I agree. I was in an invigilation, so I had to join late. I'm from Knox Community College, Agriculture and NV Department. Thank you, guys. Our department will greatly appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, you're most welcome. Right now, we'll be inviting Ms. Camille Ambersley from the Westmoreland Parish. She's a Social Services Home Economic Officer, and she'll be coming with us with the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all participants on the platform. On behalf of the organizing team, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this informative capacity building training session. First, I must say my heart is filled with immense gratitude and respect for our presenters, Mr. Dalton Hastings and Solange Johnson, for not only sparing the invaluable time, but to educate us on commercial shipment and non-commercial shipment, the handling and packaging of dried herbs for export, and in essence, the general procedures governing fresh agricultural commodities and regulated articles. Thanks for sharing vital information on the requirements needed to become a commercial exporter, packaging house prerequisites, marking requirements, preparation and packaging of products to ensure it is free from contaminants, as well as the steps involved in the export and inspection process. We are truly appreciative that you accepted the charge to educate our farm families and agro-processors on the regulations that govern the exportation of dried herbs, spices, and powders, all of which is very imperative to ensure that food is prepared in a safe and certified facility. Sincere thanks to our director, Mrs. Beverly Darby Collins, for conducting the invocation and inviting God's presence, thus setting the tone for today's training session. Heartfelt thanks to our main stakeholders, agri-food processors and aspiring agri-food processors. Thanks for gracing us with your presence and actively participating. We do hope this session was enlightening and will assist you to expand your micro businesses. We are grateful to RADA's ICT department, specifically Monique Rayner. Thanks for your continued support in providing the required resources and technology needed to successfully execute these trainings. Thanks to Mr. O'Shane Hunter for informing us about the duties and responsibilities of RADA's SBDC unit in assisting to enhance the development of entrepreneurial spirit for agri-food processors, thus aiming to increase their capacity/income. Last, but by no means least, to my social service home economics family, namely Ms. Sharifa Leslie, for such warm welcome, along with Ms. Janelle Wilson for eloquently introducing our keynote speakers. This training session did not happen overnight. The wheels started rolling months in advance, but we are fortunate to be supported by a group of SSHE officers who are determined, knowledgeable, and dedicated, along with motivated, to continue to help our agri-food processors and farm families to help themselves amidst this global pandemic. As we concur with Benjamin Franklin when he says, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. I cannot say thanks enough to my senior SSHE officer, Ms. Sharon Farquharson, and the SSHE officers in the Western Zone, Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James. Thank you all for your involvement and willingness as we continue to meet the emerging needs of the people we are called upon to serve. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ambersley. And we will be sending out the presentation as promised. So please, for those persons who did not fill out the registration form, please to insert your email in the chat and I'll copy it and I'll send it to you. We'll be having another series of training, which will be a practical follow-up session to this one. So we'll be sending out the invites and we are hoping that you guys will join. Thank you again for coming out.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thanks everyone for having us. Have a good day.
Thank you for coming.
Audience, there are one, two,